This is rolling weights. I wear a mask just because my face don't matter. And I like to be able to talk about the subjects I want to without getting worried about getting shot in the street. And this channel does not exist for hits, money, or ads. I just want to get the information out. Alright, now we all know about Naomi Judd. As they said, she lost her battle with depression, which seems to be code word for Naomi Judd committed suicide. Naomi Judd was fighting suicide for decades, and she fought it like a champion. But something got missed. Something got missed. And I want to address some issues with depression and suicide and people who fight to stay alive from suicide every day. And firstly, I want to say my condolences to the Judd family. But also I want to say to anybody who's watching this, please don't take anything I tell you as any kind of justification for killing yourself. I mean, every day you stay alive, you make a difference in this world. Every day you stay alive. And Naomi Judd made a difference. She's making a difference today because we miss her. And we don't want her final act to be what Naomi Judd is judged on. So we want to examine this situation, and we want to strengthen everyone's resolve to look around. Okay, when we miss something. I mean, Naomi had been in business contract meetings for a tour she's going on. She'd been in conversations with this award ceremony she was on, and apparently her mental state had been stable and baseline enough for everybody to say, well, she's doing real good. And it points to a very troubling feature of suicide, especially involving women. And we'll get to that in a minute. Doctors, we got to do better. The loss of Naomi Judd means we have to do better. One of the first things I want to address is doctors' medicine simply cannot have the extreme negative body reactions that Naomi had. And she's not the only one I've seen this in. You cannot give a human being a drug that causes them to gain 30 or 40 pounds of water, or swells them up like they look like that. You just can't do that. You have to find a different way. And you doctors, you're the one with the college degrees. You're the ones with the access to all the PDRs that know what all the drugs are. That's why we come to you. You got to get better at this. You know, I was terrified when I saw that 2016 interview. I mean, the first thing Naomi said was, the medicine was causing me to look like this. Please don't judge me like this. This is terrifying for any woman, and for half the men too, that they would be so physically blowed up like this. So that's got to change. And this is something that I want to call out all doctors for, to be careful about. Don't just look at the test results. I mean, we have medicines that make people bedridden. But when you look at the test results look great. They look much better. Your test results are much better. Yeah, but she can't get out the bed. Well, your test results look much better. Are you a lunatic? So we got to get better. The medical profession has to get better prescribing medicines that don't blow someone up like that. I mean, that's just... She was already depressed. So that's got to change. You might have to get as far away from high stress as possible. You might have to say, you know what, I want to stay alive. And I love being famous, and I love the reaction of the fans, but man, I'm fighting a lot of battles here. And I have to choose my battles. And the battle has to be for you. The battle has to be for you. You have to, the person with the depression has to say, I have to survive. I might not be famous anymore. I might not be rich anymore. Hell, I might be broke, but I'll be happy. I have to survive. I have to survive. And unfortunately, Naomi, who had been very blessed to have a beautiful daughter in Winona and a beautiful daughter in Ashley, and they all three became some of the most popular people in the world, and they're very talented, and they became in high demand. And that could be kind of a bad thing for people who are fighting mental illness. It really can. Because you're constantly getting pounded by other people, managers who make money off of you. Hey, can you come back on the road? Can you come back on the road? Hey, can Naomi come back on the road? Hey, can Naomi come back on the road? Hey, can you come back on the road? Hey, can you come back on the road? Can you come back on the road? The shit has to stop. If you're suffering with depression, it has to be, block that freaking call, Anyway, and that's for everybody. If you're in a high-stress environment and you are at the end of your rope, you got to get out of that high-stress environment. I mean, you got to love yourself enough to survive. And when I say survive, I'm just talking about the next couple of hours or into tomorrow. People with depression don't even address the future. That's why I have to laugh about people go, well, where are you going to be in 10 years? Man, I don't know where I'm going to be in 3 days. So you got to keep your eyes on your own health, and you got to do what's right for you to survive. Okay? People with deep depression have trouble doing anything. So when you have a doctor that's prescribing a medication, the doctor has to realize, this patient may not take this medicine because we'll miss their meds and they'll make it worse. And this is where people who are depressed but have loved ones around them can really benefit from somebody getting involved. It's saying every 12 hours you got to take your, what the hell, what's that medicine? Anyway, you got to take your medicine. So they will resist attempts to get help. In the deepest parts of their depression, they don't want to get helped because the depression makes them feel so bad they don't want to do anything. Everything takes effort. Everything feels painful. Everything is a challenge. Everything is just there to create more pain. So people in deep depression need to be encouraged to get up, to get out. And I would say one thing too. Natural sunlight is a life godsend to a person in depression, which tends to point to vitamin D being a real problem, the loss of vitamin D, because the body uses sunlight to produce it. So sunlight, natural sunlight, and this is also important. In the wintertime, they make natural sunlight lamps now. And it's very important when you try to use these that you use them in a pattern that replicates the natural sunlight that you're missing. Don't use it, don't turn it on at 1 o'clock at night when you go to bed and have it flashing on the bed. Turn it on in the morning, or if you sit somewhere, have it during the daytime, from, I don't know what your sunlight is where you're at, but I would say 7 o'clock to 7 at night. And then you turn it off. And what it does is it sets the natural rhythm of your body, so that's one less thing you have to fight. Or the best thing to do is actually get outside. A tree never hated you. The grass never hated you. The squirrels in the trees never hated you. The birds never hated you. Nature does not hate you. Life might make life a challenge, but nature does not hate you. So, a person with deep depression will think that that's all there is. Okay? And that has to stop. I mean, and that's really, you have to fight through that. I mean, that is, when you're in that situation where you think that this is all there will ever be, that's a very deep, dark hole to be in. And it makes it very easy to do awful things. Okay? Now we're going to move on to a person with a committed suicide plan, which it looks like Naomi may have had, because she had made plans that apparently she had fully planned not to meet. Now I'm going to mention one other situation that could have happened here. But let me move on with this first. Women are amazing human beings, because women, especially women with a beautiful heart such as Naomi had, always think of other people before they think about themselves. They always do. No matter their circumstance, they are always thinking about somebody else. They want to put a... They want to put a smile on your face. They want you to feel good, even when they're in the deepest, darkest hole. And they look at you with their beautiful face and those beautiful eyes, and they tell you, I'm okay, don't worry about me. When inside of their mind, something terrible has taken hold. A person with a committed suicide plan will seem better than ever. It will seem like all the medication is working great. They will actually be above, they might be above their baseline. You know, it's better if you see a person day to day and you know, each day, you know, today this person was, I'm doing great, I'm wonderful, and then tomorrow it's like, no, I'm not feeling so good. This is a pretty rough day. It's better to see some fluctuation than it is to see this rise up from baseline and everything is wonderful, everything is great. Don't worry about me, I'm doing fine, I'm doing great. Yeah, let's go ahead, let's make these plans. I'm doing great, everything's wonderful. Mom, the house looks great. I mean, you're doing wonderful. Yeah, I'm cleaning everything clean. Everything's wonderful. Yeah, thanks a lot, very much. Yeah, okay, yeah, come on over. I cooked this. Yeah, let's eat. You know, we'll immediately address everyone as I'm doing great. Don't worry about me, I'm okay. People with a committed suicide plan will completely finish and clean up all their business. This especially applies to women who are in the process of committing suicide. It's an amazing testament to a woman's ability to forget how beautiful and powerful and needed they are. People with a committed suicide plan may become hyper well-dressed and attentive. It will be as though the finest version of them that you've ever seen just showed up. And you're like going, man, that medicine is working great. And then something happens. And I'm going to address this, and I apologize, but I'm going to hit you with this because people are going to say why Naomi might have done this. Well, first off, she never escaped her depression. She really didn't. I mean, sometimes we fight and fight and fight. I certainly wish she had never had to go through whatever medicine she was taking that blew her up like that. I mean, that was horrible. And she said it right off the bat. This is the medicine I'm taking. I'm like going, come on, doctors, do better. She was tired of fighting. She'd been fighting this for decades, all her life practically. You know, I mean, she was sexually abused at 3.5 years old by a family member. And that colored her life all the way through. But having Winona was one of the most beautiful things that ever happened, and having Ashley was one of the most beautiful things that ever happened to her too. But this points to a big factor about depression, is that whatever the factors are about depression, often you can heredity plays a factor. You can be born with it, with the potential to get it. And both Winona and both Ashley have had their bouts with depression and suicide, thoughts of suicide, both of them. And they both went to counseling. And God bless them for doing it. And this is a very dangerous time for both of them. Very dangerous. She was tired of being a burden. And this right here is the #1 factor for women who are mothers killing themselves. I believe. I haven't researched it because it's frankly very painful. But as I've been growing up and I've been seeing people die and I've been seeing women kill themselves, it's just been awful. But I point this back to the beauty of a woman, to a beauty of a mother that thinks about other people and doesn't think about themselves and doesn't realize, hey, we want you here. Mom, I want you here. Mom, we don't have to go out on the road. We don't have to see anybody. I just want you here to love you, to hug you, and to hold you. Naomi was actually facing a tour and a ceremony, and she knew the world would judge her on how she looked and acted. And in 2016, that interview, she was extraordinarily sensitive about how she looked. And she was always someone who was very sensitive about her appearance, and as many women are. I mean, it's just a fact. So we have to do better. We have to do better. Something got missed. And if you have relatives, especially daughters or mothers or friends that are women that are facing depression and the potential of suicide, I encourage you, if they start becoming hyper well, you need to start getting involved. Nobody with depression suddenly one day wakes up and gets hyper well. You don't. It doesn't happen. You don't suddenly wake up and, I'm doing great. Everything's great. Don't worry about it. Yo, go ahead. Go on. Go ahead. Nobody has to stay here. I'm fine. I'm great. And the sad thing about this is, I'm going to say this, but she probably was found in the bed asleep with the covers over her, as beautiful as she's ever been, with everything in the house cleaned and taken, put away, with a note on the side of the bed saying, I love you girls, but I have to go, or something like that. Something very beautiful, if this was what happened. They haven't told us, but this is what not telling us what happened creates in the minds of people who have depression, who love the Judds. They love them. Millions of people love them because they fought, they were poor, they fought away from that, they sung and they grew and they battled and they became famous and they were talented and they were successes. And Mom was real open about her problems and she tried to help people. And then something like this happens. So, one thing I would tell you, there is a specific incident that could have happened that all of this committed to a suicide plan, none of that applies to. Now there is a certain thing, and I call it a dropout. And a dropout is when you are going along great, fantastic, in your treatment, and you're going along great in your diet, in your nutrition, in your exercise. You're having fairly good days, you're up and down, you're up and down, you're up and down, and then suddenly, for no reason at all, you run into what I call a dropout. And what a dropout is